Hello, my name is Gustavo Gonzalez, Lead Consultant for the Title III Improvement Process in the Language Policy and Leadership Office. Here with me today is Sandra Covarrubias. Sandra is the Lead Consultant for the submission of the Title III Local Educational Agency Plan Performance Goal 2. On behalf of the California Department of Education, or CDE, we welcome you to this Title III English Learner and Immigrant Technical Assistance presentation. The CDE is pleased to provide this presentation in an effort to assist local educational agencies, or LEAs, with the process of submitting the LEA Plan Goal 2, as defined in the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, Title III, Part A statutes. And now, Sandra.
Hello everyone, I'm Sandra Covarrubias. As a result of our presentation today, we hope that you will learn about the LEA plan requirement for the Title III application and the process for submitting a plan for the 2016-17 fiscal year, become familiar with the Title III LEA Plan Performance Goal 2 template, have a better understanding of what activities are allowable under Title III, and be aware of how Title III funds are to supplement an LEA's core educational program for English learners, as well as other state and federal program funds. The Elementary and Secondary Education Act, Title III, Part A, English Learner and Immigrant Student Program, Section 3114, allows participation of LEAs that submit an LEA Plan Goal 2 for each year a subgrant is awarded. Now that we know why we need to submit a plan, let's examine how to develop the plan. A complete LEA Plan Goal 2 includes specific descriptions of district-operated Title III programs, outlines a projected budget for how the entire entitlement will be used, and identifies the activities that will be funded. It is highly recommended that all LEAs, particularly those in improvement status, analyze outcomes and program services for English learners before developing or adjusting their plan each year. Tools and resources to do this can be found on the CDE Title III Accountability Requirements 2015 webpage. The Title III LEA Plan Performance Goal 2 template was designed to be used for both the submission of the plan for funding and to address the accountability requirements of Title III. Using this comprehensive template, LEAs will only have to submit one plan. This is the first section of the template, Required Content A, where all LEAs provide narrative descriptions of their program for English learners. This section of the plan template is specific to the following required content areas: Title III program implementation, using funds to meet all accountability measures, school site accountability, and parental and community participation. In the first row, LEAs describe program implementation and activities in accordance with Title III. In the second row, LEAs describe how school sites will be held accountable for meeting the accountability measures and annually measuring English proficiency of English learners. In the third row, LEAs describe how funds will be used to meet all accountability measures. In the fourth row, LEAs describe how parental and community participation will be promoted. Required Content B is the section where LEAs describe specific high-quality language instruction and the professional development activities that will be purchased using Title III funds. This could include anything that is supplemental to the instructional program and services that are provided to English learner students and required by federal and state laws. Basically, Title III funds enhance what is already in place for English learners. Funds must be allocated for both high-quality language instruction and professional development. Section C, shown here in yellow, is specific to LEAs that were notified in 2014-15 that they missed desired accountability measures for 2 consecutive years, and a Year 2 improvement plan was written, or LEAs that are implementing a Year 2 plan in Year 3. These LEAs specifically address the factors that prevented them from meeting the desired accountability measures. Section D, shown here in orange, is applicable to LEAs that were notified in 2014-15 that they missed desired accountability measures for 4 or more consecutive years. In the first row, these LEAs specifically address the factors that prevented them from meeting the desired accountability measures in the plan. In the second row, these LEAs describe and budget for the necessary modifications to the curriculum, program, and method of instruction of English learners. Funds must be allocated in this section of the plan. In Section E, LEAs applying for English learner funds describe and budget for all other allowable activities chosen by the LEA that are supplemental to the language instruction program. This would include personnel, materials, programs, and services consistent with the allowable activities that are supplemental to the other state, federal, and local funds. LEAs provide the people responsible related expenditures, projected costs to sufficiently implement the action, and funding sources for each activity. Please visit the Title III webpage for allowable English learner activities. In Section F, LEAs enter the total projected costs that are consistent with the entire English learner eligibility amount. In the first row, LEAs enter the administrative indirect costs associated with all activities to be implemented with Title III English Learner funds. These administrative indirect costs must be less than or equal to 2%. In the second row, LEAs enter the total projected costs for all activities to be implemented using Title III English Learner funds. In Section G, LEAs applying for immigrant funds describe and budget for all other allowable activities that are consistent with the purposes of the Title III immigrant program. These activities provide enhanced instructional opportunities for immigrant students and families through the provision of supplementary programs and services. Please visit the Title III webpage for allowable immigrant activities. In Section H, LEAs accepting Title III immigrant funds enter the total projected costs that are consistent with the entire Title III immigrant eligibility amount, including administrative indirect costs. In the first row, LEAs enter the administrative indirect costs associated with all activities to be implemented using Title III immigrant funds. The administrative indirect costs are typically less than or equal to 15%. If the administrative indirect costs exceed 15%, a justification may be requested. In the second row, LEAs enter the total projected costs for all activities to be implemented using Title III immigrant funds. Here are some things to remember when developing and adjusting the LEA Plan Goal 2. Identify and provide goals and a description of the activities, both required and allowable, to be implemented. Identify all items to be purchased with Title III funds in support of these activities. This includes personnel, materials, programs, and services consistent with the required and allowable activities of Title III. Ensure the entire entitlement for the subgrant year is allocated in the LEA Plan Goal 2 to activities that are supplemental to state, federal, and local funding. Now Gustavo will talk about the projected budget and the supplement not supplant requirement.
It is important to make sure that the activities in the LEA Plan Goal 2 will be carried out using expenditures that are allowable, allocable, and reasonable. Remember that the complete LEA Plan Goal 2 must account for all Title III supplementary activities and expenditures using the entire entitlement for the subgrant year. 98% of Title III English Learner funds awarded to the LEA must be used for instructional services. Up to 2% is allowed for administrative and indirect costs. The Title III immigrant program requires that the percentage of administrative costs be reasonable and necessary. Typically, 85% or more is to be used for allowable activities. Avoid hidden administrative duties in the 98 or 85% funding portion. For example, instructional coaches may not have administrative duties assigned that are paid for beyond the 2%. The Office of Management and Budget, or OMB, Uniform Guidance sets forth how federal funds can be spent. If a grantee fails to adhere to these, there may be False Claim Act implications and potential criminal fraud. The OMB Uniform Guidance Costs Principles govern the use of Title III funds. Note the emphasis on necessary and reasonable cost. Costs must be accorded consistent treatment. For example, a cost may not be assigned to a federal award as a direct cost if any other cost incurred for the same purpose in like circumstances has been allocated to this federal award as an indirect cost. Costs must be adequately documented. Decisions regarding supplement and not supplant are also very fact-specific. Districts define their core educational program and analyze their English learner programs. This helps them to articulate how Title III supplements the core educational program. If you have specific questions about a particular scenario in your LEA, please contact the Language Policy and Leadership Office. The contact information is provided at the end of this presentation. Here are some questions to help LEAs determine whether the activity is supplemental. What is a general fund-based instructional program provided to English learners? Are all English learners receiving a program to overcome language barriers and have access to curriculum in the general fund-based program? How is the proposed activity supplemental to the instructional program or service? What does the LEA do to meet Lau requirements as determined by Lau versus Nichols? This case law requires that each educational agency take appropriate action to ensure that students overcome language barriers that impede equal participation by its students in its instructional programs. Are there sufficient general funds allocated to fully implement the base program? Do English learners have access to all federal, state, and local programs for which they qualify? Was any part of the program or service previously provided with other state, local, and/or federal funds? If so, please see the rule on maintenance of effort, which can be found in the OMB Uniform Guidance. Some activities cannot be transferred from one funding source to another. These questions can serve as a basic framework for avoiding supplanting of Title III funds for other funds. The answers to these questions can assist the LEA in determining if the proposed funds provide an instructional program or service that is supplemental to an existing instructional program or service. If that program or service would be provided to English learner students in the absence of a Title III subgrant, don't use Title III funds. LEAs need to ensure that the activities or services are consistent with the requirements of Title III. Programs and services are provided to English learner students based on their English learner status to address educational needs as well as increase their ability to learn English and access the core curriculum. Now Sandra will discuss applying for funding on CARS.
Once the plan has been developed, an LEA is ready to apply for funding. This slide shows the application for funding page in the Consolidated Application and Reporting System, or CARS, where LEAs elect to receive specific federal program funds for a school year. This is the first step of an LEA's submission of an application for Title III English Learner and Immigrant funding. It is extremely important that LEAs confirm that the contact information provided in CARS is updated so that a current person can be reached if necessary. If assistance is needed to complete this page, please contact Patty Stevens, listed at the end of this presentation. The next step of an LEA's submission of an application for Title III English Learner and Immigrant funding is to upload the completed LEA Plan Goal 2 into the California Department of Education Monitoring Tool, or CMT, when applying for Title III funds. After completing the application for funding on CARS, LEAs access the CMT to submit the 2016-17 LEA Plan Goal 2 and any supporting documents for review. This is the CMT logon page. In order to log on, use the LEA's CARS username and password. LEAs that need to register for CARS can do so by accessing the link, indicated here with an arrow. After logging on, LEAs will be directed to the CMT homepage. This page displays all reviews assigned to the LEA. Click the Review tab indicated with an arrow. This page provides review details such as review dates and staff assigned to the review. Click the View Resources link indicated with an arrow. This is the page where resource documents are provided. LEAs access the documents conveniently provided for use by the LEA here, as indicated with an arrow. In addition to the Goal 2 template, other documents provided as resources on CMT are the Title III Local Educational Agency Plan Performance Goal 2 cover sheet, a needs assessment, and the English Learner Subgroup Self-Assessment Tool, otherwise known as ELSA. Let's take a closer look at some of these documents. This is the Title III LEA Plan Performance Goal 2 cover sheet. To complete this form, LEAs provide pertinent information such as the LEA name, CDS code, and fiscal year of the application. If an LEA is a consortium lead, the LEA also provides the names of all of the member LEAs in the consortium. Next, LEAs and consortia leads identify which documents are being submitted on CMT and provide page numbers for each applicable section of the plan. This is helpful when discussing the plan, especially if multiple pages are submitted. CDE may need to contact the LEA. Page numbers help in those instances. LEAs can use this needs assessment as well. A needs assessment is used to analyze data about English learners' linguistic and academic achievement data and other information related to the educational services and performance of English learners. This needs assessment template is also found on the Title III Accountability Requirements webpage. LEAs may choose to upload an English Learner Subgroup Self-Assessment, or ELSA. The ELSA is another tool used to analyze English learner linguistic and academic performance data. It is also found on the Title III Accountability Requirements webpage. LEAs complete applicable documents and then prepare to upload to the CMT site. All uploaded documents are referred to as evidence in the CMT system. Click on the Documents tab, indicated here with an arrow, to access the Add a Document fields. In these fields, enter a document title, description, and type. Use the same name as in the resources for the document title. Include document-specific information such as page numbers for the document description. Select File as the document type. Once these fields have been completed, click on Browse, arrow 1, to select files. Then click Add Document, arrow 2, to upload. Once documents are uploaded, click the Evidence Requests tab, indicated here as arrow 1, to verify that the files are there. Now, these files need to be linked to evidence requests. Select a file to be linked to an evidence request, indicated here as arrow 2. This is the Evidence Request Detail screen, where documents can be linked to evidence requests on the CMT site. We are looking at the detail screen for an uploaded cover sheet. Click Add a link, indicated here with arrow 1. Then other fields will appear. Select Search, indicated with arrow 2. All uploaded documents will come up. Select a document to be linked. The link description displays here. The comments section can be used by LEAs for any questions or clarifications to be made regarding the linked document. Select Add Link. Once a document is linked to an evidence request, a success message will be displayed, as shown here in red text. Once documents have been uploaded and linked, they must be certified. Click the Certify Evidence tab, indicated here with an arrow. This is the page where documents are certified on the CMT site. Certifying documents simply enables CDE to view the documents. Once all uploaded documents are linked and certified, all evidence is ready for review. It is recommended to certify immediately and not wait until all documents have been uploaded. For further assistance with LEA Plan Goal 2 submission on CMT, please see Submitting the Title III LEA Plan Performance Goal 2 on the Title III webpage. Title III Regional County Office of Education leads will be available to assist with CMT, LEA plan development, and the review process. Now Gustavo will talk about funding eligibility.
In order to receive apportionments in a timely manner, LEAs first submit an application on CARS and update all contact information. LEAs then ensure that previous year funds have been reported on the Cash Management Data Collection, or CMT, and all thresholds have been met. These things need to be submitted by June 30th, 2016. As soon as eligibility data is available, LEAs upload a complete LEA Plan Goal 2 on CMT. CDE will send a notification to the field as soon as the eligibility data is posted on the CDE NCLB webpage. Before releasing funds for each subgrant year, CDE will verify the completed LEA Plan Goal 2 is accessible on CMT and contains required activities, allowable activities if included, and that the activities are reasonable and necessary. CDE will also verify that no additional administrative costs are interwoven into the activities, that the entire entitlement for the subgrant year has been allocated to the activities in the LEA Plan Goal 2, and that all subgrant activities are of a supplemental nature. Supporting documents and resources can be found at these links. On the Title III page, you will be able to access the Title III LEA Plan Performance Goal 2 template, as well as the links for the LEP and Immigrant Program web pages. On the NCLB page, you will be able to find 2016-17 eligibility amounts for LEAs. The Title III Accountability Requirements page has information pertinent to LEAs identified for improvement and also will house this webcast. The CMT webpage provides guidance on uploading the Title III LEA Plan Performance Goal 2 template and accompanying documents for review. The OMB Uniform Guidance is a resource with information on how federal funds can be spent. This is also where you will be able to find the rule on maintenance of effort. For questions regarding Title III fiscal or program information, please contact the following staff. For Title III, EL, and Immigrant fiscal questions, please contact Patty Stevens. For Title III, EL, and Immigrant program questions, please contact Jeffrey Durangu. For allocations, apportionments, cash management, or cash management data collection system questions, please contact Leslie Sharp. For assistance with Title III LEA plans, please contact Sandra Covarrubias or me, Gustavo Gonzalez. Thank you for joining us for this presentation. We hope you found this information useful, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact the Language Policy and Leadership Office.